Ahoy, hello, and what's cooking good looking as we are back for day 2 of the LCO out of a beautiful 5 days of playoffs brackets. I'm joined with Skimmy and Tally, my casters who just have it all nailed down. They know exactly what they're doing. The Sunnies is proof of why Skimmy is just the coolest cat on the block. But gents, we got a big week still. It's still early days. We're looking forward to some more, but we're in the lower bracket. Are you guys excited?
Always excited. Oh, hang on, let me just quickly see this a little bit clearer. Yeah, always excited. Really keen for the games that are amongst us today. Some absolute bangers in the lower bracket there, Pike. The vision, it's clear. I'm aligned. I'm keen.
Damn. Why didn't I think of that? That was too good. All right, let's not... You've thrown me so much for a loop. I've lost my train of thought. That's how good that was. But no, I know we've got some replays from day 1 of the playoffs bracket. Let's jump into it and see how these teams looked as we're heading into the lower bracket.
We can roam, we can deny even more on the map. This one just goes on from that point there. Jovi, once again! That's a second solo kill, and now he's 2-0. Jovi says, well, Fido, you're not going to enjoy this game whatsoever, and if I can get in your head, maybe this could be a decisive factor to try and close out this series. He takes one, and Tien's absolutely isolated Zyra in the river. The one-man stranglefall to buy time. You go back topside, and the True Shot Barrage hasn't found anybody, but it's got them all dangerously low. Both supports with massive amounts of AoE crowd control, but in the end, Lemus just a little bit too good with the triple and the ace.
And this has the Hydra graphic because this is what this team is. Ion is Hercules, and
what Antic decide to do down very close to 4, maybe 5k gold. As they actually will just pounce upon Violet. Viper will stand up strong, get a 3-man counter strike and say, why is my AD carry there?
I don't know, to be honest. Like I was just like bored. Like the entire game, like they just rolled over. Like they just rolled over in lane, they rolled over in mid game, and I just got bored and I pressed my button forward and I died.
Aladoric flank.
Look at this Aladoric flank. Oh my god, not the blast code into the 3-man pole! And then the fate sealed there afterwards. That Aladoric is simply disgusting. Stop it. Absolutely stop it right now. And if you think you're going to get away from this team, you are sorely mistaken. Blitz run you down all day, every day. But if Antic gives you a chance to just keep hitting what is ever in front of their face, they will take it over. And Ray's now trying to showcase why he is a starter player of Oceania.
Yeah, you're pretty.
I had someone. Oh, no. What a good first day, though. Like, if that's the signs of what we can expect all week, Tally, who knows how these 4 players are going to look? And then the finals on Monday, it's almost a bit too much for my simple heart. Lol jokes, that could just be the copious amounts of caffeine coursing through my veins. But no, look, awesome plays. We saw so much, but we are in the lower bracket. So do you think today's going to hold up to yesterday, Tally?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. I think today is we're going to see, the clash of styles. I think particularly Antic and Fury, do that very similar playstyle. Regardless of what we see them play, they love to fight, and we're going to see that happen a lot. We're going to see very bloody games today, I think. Not the the slow, methodical, objective-focused gameplay we saw yesterday. We're going to see some action today.
Well, let's have a look at the bracket to break it down a little bit more to what you'll be seeing today and where teams are currently sitting, because we did see those 2 teams, Ground Zero and Team Bliss, enter into the upper bracket. They'll be playing on Thursday to show you a best of 5 series that we all need to see. But today, yes, today is the best of 3s. Lower bracket, it is Fury versus Antic into Direwolves and Ion, all looking to enter into round 2, Skimmy. And really, they're looking pretty good, and it could be any team series today.
Certainly right, yeah. I mean, it's a best of 3. No time for mistakes in that lower bracket. You've got to really be on your A game, and that becomes the question, right, as to was that actually a benefit for the teams like Ion and Antic to play last night? They've got to have a 24-hour response, do it again, just to stay in the competition. So I'm not sure which side feels more warmed up and ready to go into this one. The team that got to watch you and study even harder, or the team that's already had that first game on stage to kick off this campaign?
Well, Tally, in your experience, what would you say is probably like the better of the two? So you said it's already playing thus far, so playing yesterday, getting a bit more experience, or being able to watch the teams play and learn a little bit more?
I would definitely say playing, because I think that as the team that plays, 1, you get your experience on stage. 2, if you did lose, you get to figure out, okay, this approach to the game wasn't correct, let's change it up a bit. I think we're probably going to see a change up in the team's draft identities, what we were seeing compared to yesterday. I think that a lot of these games were quite scaling heavy, quite passive. I think we're going to see a lot more of that Bliss sort of playstyle coming out of a lot of these teams today.
So it's just going to be Violet just just inting it, running it down mid lane, just saying, yeah, no, I'm bored, let's not worry about it, let's just chill out. Okay, so I'm pretty keen for that. That'll be good. But no, we've got a little bit of time. Let's have a look at some from the fans. The first one that we're able to do this week, obviously day 2 had to be good. So what's your secret off-meta strategy, Skimmy? This could be quite a good one. I think I did see a couple interesting responses. Let's have a look at the very first one, see what they're looking to. So it's retro, keeping hydrated, drink water, and the pentas and LP increases will come naturally. Honestly, I back it.
Honestly, I say you can take this one step further. Have you ever done some tasks around the home, some housework, some homework, whatever it may be, then sit down and play games? How satisfying is that? It feels like you deserve just to, go back to being 15 years old, no stress, no taxes, no worries in life. It's just, I get to play games for a couple of hours, and you go back out and like, better fold the laundry now. Oh, yep, take the dishes out of the sink. Look, it feels nice for a hot second.
I agree. I think that's actually how I do it. Like, I'm not allowed to game until I've done my chores, which I deem I to choose my chores. You know what? I'm a big boy now. But no, I love that. I think staying hydrated, that's so important, keeping you going. But let's have a look at the next one, see what these other fantastic players out there look at. A real squid. Cheese cubes are the superior snack for League of Legs. Cheese cubes. Like, are they like when you just chop up a block of cheese? And
I hope not. I really hope not. But all I'm gonna say is snacking while playing League is just not optimal, okay? Because you're gonna get greasy fingers, and that equals a greasy keyboard.
All right, let me
No
counterpoint that though. Counterpoint that. If you're eating cheese cubes, don't you eat them with toothpicks? Like, you're eating them like really fancy. Same with like to get a little bit of cabana or something on there too. Maybe like a Jats cracker or something. You're feeling a little bit spicy. Feeling a little bit fancy in your League of Legends games. I could do it.
Oh, so you get the wine glass, you pour grape juice inside of it, and you're like, look how fancy I am.
There you go.
Yeah, and everything.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Well, since we're looking fancy, let's get one more off the bat to see how our players are doing it. Oh, my boy, Logan, thank you so much. Play what you enjoy. As a sup main, I started on Lux and Seraphine before finding I really enjoy playing Nautilus and Leona. Now it's hooks for days. Nothing gives me more joy than when that dredge line connects. Look, I agree. I think it is a game after all, Tally. It's about having fun and not playing Leona Nautilus.
All right, hold on. So we asked for off-meta strategies. We got drink water, eat cheese cubes, and play the most broken champs in the meta.
Yep. That's super off
perfect,
meta.
guys. Perfect.
If you put it all together, you're a superhuman.
So drink
That's
water,
what I'm hearing.
pick Leona, eat cheese cubes.
You like?
That's what I was waiting for, like the off meta, like be dehydrated, because then you're more desperate to get a glass of water, so you play that game even harder to gain that LP.
I wanna hear someone like, play Yorick jungle and have maiden split bot lane while you guys get Baron or something, you know?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So guys, go put your answers in. We want to hear Tally, especially wants to see some really off-meta picks. Go chuck it in. You can go follow the socials as well for the LCO. But we're going to go to a short break as we're getting ready for the first series, Skimmy. First one off the back, best of 3. Looking to be Ion Global versus Dire Wolves. It's going to be such a big one. Ion's really going to prove themselves. We'll see you there.
off. Watch, it's carnage. Only triple happening here is for Fighto. Oh, it's do or die.
And welcome back one more time after a beautifully short break as we're getting ready for the first series of tonight, Ion versus Direwolves. It's going to be a bit of a spicy one because we saw Ion have a bit of a struggle last night even. And let's have a quick look at that roster though, guys, and see how these guys are looking, what they're sort of feeling. I think we're running it back with the same members, and I think after last night, they got a bit to work on, Skimmy.
Look, they do, yeah. Coming in as the fourth seed, you get that blessing of an upper bracket position, but you do have to go against the top dogs in Ground Zero that are simply impenetrable at this stage, right? So you're wondering what they've taken as a lesson from that point, showcased a few new champions, a different playstyle overall. And I would say that maybe it's given them the fine tweaking they need. Sometimes we talk about scrim performance. This for them would be that stage performance. You've got those nerves out the way, a couple of games under your wrap, and ready to rock and roll up against the Direwolves.
Yes, Tally, the Direwolves looking fierce right there as well, but you have to be worried about these guys. They've got that roster, the dream roster they've been hoping for, and I think they've got a couple things up their sleeves.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to describe the Direwolves. I think that this team has shown the most variance of any roster in OS. They've shown so many different playstyles, but haven't really stuck to one so far. So I'm really curious after this week off, that the extra bit of scrims they have got, you know, coming into this stage game today, what they really want to go for, what they really want to lock in on. Do they want to play some early game? Do they want to play scaling? Do they want to play around a certain lane in particular? You know, is it going to go back to that Cat 3 show that we saw they have so much success on in early weeks?
And you can see some replays coming in from their last match together, which was Ion again versus Direwolves. And again, plays across the board. Like, you can see Jovi playing so well, but they're making plays bot, giving Styx the tools that he needs to. So I guess, what lane would you be looking at the most, Tally, here, if we were going to be staring at any lane in particular?
Well, I think based on what we saw yesterday, especially with that Ion Ground Zero matchup, Jovi is the superstar of this team. And when he is enabled, when he is allowed to play the game, he does so well in his individual matchups. So I think the key to victory for that team is going to be enabling Jovi. But you know, on the other hand, for Direwolves, I think that this roster has the carry potential in Cat 2. I think that he is one of the best team fighting AD carries in the league. If he can get to that mid-game point on a champ like Aphelios, he can really take over the game. But the struggles that this team has been facing is really getting through that laning phase and reaching the team fights, which these comps that they draft should have so much success in.
Yeah, you can even see as well, you got the Draymond on that Zeri too, which is one of those champions we've been wanting to see. I know Skimmy's been wanting to see it, but the keys to victory, we've got them here, Skimmy, and walk us through it a little bit for these two teams.
Well, that's right, yeah, as Tully already mentioned, gives Jovi the keys to carry the game. He certainly has had a standout performance, both in that series up against Direwolves, only this time last week, and then up against the favourites in Ground Zero 2. So in red-hot form, certainly need to find a draft that suits him. We seem to prefer him on these ranged carries. We can show a little bit more restraint compared to the Yasuo as well as the Yone. I think, yeah, you really want to make sure that bot lane has a sense of priority, a very strong laning champion. We've seen Styx go for his coveted, Ezreal, or sometimes even go for the Brand or the Misfortune. Anything that allows him to be that much of a lane buddy that Hex Flash can impact elsewhere. And looks to try and link up with Cole Lee, who, at the best of times, has been a very strong skirmisher. Played back-to-back games of the Zyra, but I think his best has been on these, Lee Sin, Nidalee, Jarvans, anything that allows him to, at least before level 6, showcase that they are the stronger 2v2.
And Tally, what do you think about the Direwolves here? We've got a little bit more. Break it down for us.
Yeah, so I think Skimmy highlighted the Ion points really nicely, and I think that the Direwolves target this game, or the main way they can really deal with this game, is shutting down the snowball potential of the enemy team. And I think that they really need to hone in on drafting a really strong mid 2v2, whether that's going to be like the Syndra Lee Sins, the LeBlancs that we saw Emphis have so much success on in the recent weeks. And I think that Cat 3's had so much success on the Kai'Sa in particular compared to his other champions. Whether he can play something like a Zeri as well, play something that's going to give him a bit more mobility, a bit more access to have those 1v5 potential team fights. I think that is what Direwolves need to hone in on.
Look, I'm pretty keen to see that. There's one person we need to talk to who's going to be our key to victory almost in this conversation. We're going to have a chat with Doraemon from the top side of Ion. This beautiful soul, always got a smile on his face. G'day, mate. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm ready to win with my team.
What happened in game 2?
I like to hear that. Now, we just went through the keys to victory for both your teams. I'd love to know your thoughts. What are your keys to victory in this series tonight?
We just have to win early game, and then game's much easier. Like yesterday against Ground Zero, we kind of... I feel like we lost in the first 5-10 minutes. Then it kind of made the game unplayable, so... I think the first step is just always securing the early game, and then mid-late game should be much easier.
Yeah, cool. So you guys have sat down and you sort of talked about the game plan, how it looked, and now you've sort of said, okay, we need to prioritize a couple different things. So the team must be feeling pretty good about today, at least a lot more prepared than yesterday, potentially?
Yeah, we reviewed our mistakes yesterday, and pretty, like, the minor mistakes which led to bigger mistakes, right? It's like a chain reaction which just blew up the game. So those, I think we'll win easily.
Oh, I'm loving that confidence, Skimmy. It's always good to hear that they're ready to go.
Absolutely, and for good reason too, right? Only this time last week, Doraemon, you versed the Direwolves, right? And had a bit of an individual 1v9 performance yourself with the top lane Zeri as well as the Aatrox. I suppose, based on that level of confidence that it's so recent, was last night's 2-0 actually a blessing in disguise? Knowing that you are up against the league favourites, was actually a helping hand to have those 2 games, to have that 24-hour turnaround coming into tonight and being like, okay, we know what we still need to work on, and we're ready to, 2-0 Direwolves again.
Yeah, I guess it was good that we played Ground Zero, because we just got exposed again for like simple mistakes. Ground Zero just gapped us in everything, like laning, skirmishing, warding, team fighting. We did learn a lot from the review, so should be good for tonight.
Hasn't affected the mood too much. You boys are still feeling really ready to go.
Yeah, the mood is still pretty good. No one's really tilted. I think we're all ready to win.
Ready for the lower bracket gauntlet run, boys. There, off you go, Tally, mate.
You do. And I want to talk about a quote that Styx said a while ago. He said that you guys, or your team, is a roster that's very true to its rankings. You always beat the teams below you, but you manage to lose the teams above you. You are coming into that lower bracket run where you're going to be versing a lot of the teams who you've already defeated throughout the split. And then Antic, who is looking, quite shaky recently. So are you guys feeling very confident to run this lower bracket?
Yeah, I think it's definitely winnable. We just have to get our game together. If everyone performs like at their peak, I think it's doable.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Okay. All right, now, Doraemon, let's take you out of the equation. Who is the best player on your team besides yourself? I'd love to know, just like from your point of view.
I think Jovi is probably the most consistent, and then I'd say Jovi.
All right, yeah, look, I'd say we're all pretty close to that, I'd say. I want to put you at the top, though, because that Zeri performance was just banger. So, but mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's always good to hear from you, and good luck tonight. We're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Nice, we got the wave.
That's a buff. Everyone who's wave back has won, guys.
They win. They get the cast.
Ooh.
I haven't tracked that, but
wait, we do need to fake that. That could be fake news. Uh-oh.
We'll start from now. We'll start from now.
Yeah, starting from today.
But no, it sounds good. Like, it doesn't feel like the confidence has been shattered, like you said, Skimmy. Like, they're still feeling good. And as well as you said, Tally, as well, they know sort of their place. They're very conscious of it. They know that they can win in the lower bracket, but it's harder in the upper bracket sort of stuff. So they are feeling quite good into this series.
Yeah, I mean, they should do as well. If they can make it through tonight, then you would most likely think it's Antic as your potential next opponent. If you can get through that one, then there's another qualification match on the line. So, yeah, it makes it quite simple for them to think about, right? Anything that has implications of making it to PCS, that's a best of 5. Anything before, that's a best of 3. So maybe you need to, up the spice even more, make it even more volatile to get the series over and done with even quicker.
Just go ham. 2 O's all day, every day. We'll be chuffed. We're excited for that fire coming out. But they're up against a pretty tough opponent, though, Tally. It is the Direwolves. Like, do you think Direwolves themselves, because we've seen them be very volatile, could we expect something similar on them?
I think this is Direwolves' main strength right now is, going to be creating volatility, and the fact that there's probably a lot of unknowns with the roster. They, as I said before, they have shown the most variance out of all the rosters so far in OS. I think Ground Zero, one-dimensional, but very strong at it. Bliss have shown multiple styles, but Direwolves have played pretty much everything that you think could be played in the meta right now. So I'm very curious to see, as this is a best of series, if they're going to have multiple different drafts prepared, and that's very hard to tackle as a team like Ion, who showed they were only really strong on these really aggressive mid laners.
I want to put two things together. just bear with me with this. So we tried to figure out off-meta picks from the fans. They gave us cheese and water. I want to know, with these two teams, do you think there could be some spicy off-meta picks that they could be picking? And again, I mentioned last night the Diana Yasuo, and we have seen Yasuo quite a bit. I'll ask both of you, is there any maybe off-meta pick you think these teams could be successful with? And I'll pass to you, Skimmy, first.
I'm a big fan of the potential for laning Sejuani. I think that could definitely be a possibility. Either side, honestly. I think it's a possibility. It doesn't have to be a guarantee for the jungle. It's just a case of whether these players feel like they need to use it, want to use it, and if it doesn't get denied.
All right, Tally, real quick.
I'm an artillery mage merchant, so I'm going to say Ziggs. I think Ziggs can be played both mid and bot. Really good into the meta, really good with the meta, so I really hope someone pulls it out.
All right, well, let's ask the next person we have on our interview. It is Chungy from Direwolves. We heard it is the Sejuani top, Chungy. Is this going to be seen tonight? You know what? Don't answer it because we don't want you to spoil anything. But the answer is yes already, so thank you so much. But Chungy, how are you feeling tonight?
Yeah, I feel a lot better. I think, like, when we had this roster swap, it was hard to find our identity as a team, but I think, like, throughout the weeks, we finally been able to identify like what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, and hopefully we can go out with a bang tonight.
Ooh, well, hopefully move up with a bang instead. So use maybe a Ziggs bomb to propel you forward. No, but wait, I want to know as well, like, you got to see Ion play yesterday. How was the team feeling in preparation for this series against Ion?
I don't think much has changed compared to like when we last faced them last week or 2 weeks ago, I think. But yeah, it was more so figuring out the strengths of our teams and figuring out like how to draft around like our strengths.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so it's more about self-reflection rather than looking at the externals. Is controlling the controllables is maybe what it is. So I love hearing that. So you guys have been prepping a couple interesting picks. Off-meta seems to be the topic for tonight. Like, are we potentially feeling some off-meta stuff? Yasuo, Diana, come on.
I mean, I don't know if Tally has been looking at my OPGG. There is another pick, but I highly doubt that I'm picking that champion. But yeah, you never know. You never know.
You never know, Skimmy. It's the unknowns. I love it. I can't control that, but maybe you could control something.
Well, I can ask him some questions. And I suppose, yeah, Chungy, when you initially came into the roster, it felt like there was that two-pronged attack now. It wasn't all about the Katsuri show, and you certainly flourished on the debut with the likes of the Yasuo in the mid lane. So how have you found it adjusting to the top lane? Because we've seen so many different players have a different take on it. Some just defaulting to tanks, like, your Ornn, your Gragas on repeat all day. Others going for more the bruisers, like the Camille and the Aatrox and so on. Is it a case for you of trying to bring all the champions you're so good at in mid lane to top? So like your Yone, your Yasuo, your Jace?
Yeah, it's definitely harder to transition into the top lane because of like the champion issues. So it's more of like just picking what I'm most comfortable with and hopefully like adapting our draft towards that.
So I suppose in that same vein then, is that what the majority of this time coming into playoffs has been spent on, right? Finding, okay, these are my top 3 champs in all different roles. What can we make work within this meta that, doesn't have to naturally conform to like a double ADC every single time, but like how can we make sure that we have a fighting chance, we aren't hurting ourselves in the draft more than helping?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, beauty. Awesome, mate.
And I guess I can jump in there. I kind of want to dive in a bit on how your prep has been going, like your scrims, because this is our first time talking with Direwolves this playoffs. So you mentioned that you guys have sort of figured out your playstyle now, and I want to know, have you guys been spending your most recent weeks in scrims really perfecting that playstyle, or are you guys still spreading out and trying to be a team with a bit of variance?
Well, I don't know if this is leaking anything, but like yesterday was our only time that we've had like success in scrims. So like after yesterday, we like kind of figured out like how we wanted to draft and how we wanted to play. So like hopefully we can transition that into today's games. Yeah.
I mean, hey, the day before games, that buff, everyone's feeling confident. Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, Chungy, I'm excited to see how you guys are going to do. Again, I know you've been picking up some spicy stuff, so thank you so much for coming on. It's always a delight to have you. Good luck tonight. We're all rooting for you.
Thank you.
Oh, it's the wave buff 2 from 2, boys.
Damn it,
Who wins now?
I saw a bit more elbow action from Chungy there, so
good form.
good form.
Good form is important.
Yep.
So, okay, so it's all down to the right waves, right? That's what it is.
Oh yeah, no, you could go for the double hand wave, and that's like a super buff.
Oh, that's a GG, yeah.
Well, we got a previous series to look at. Let's have a quick look at how these two teams fared up as we're waving past through that. We can have a look. Ion versus Direwolves, it was a bit of an interesting one. So it was Ion with the wins, taking home the 2-0. But some good picks. I think there was a little bit of roster kerfuffles, but hopefully they've cleaned that up, Tally.
Yeah, and I think this goes to show what we were talking about with Ion. They are this team who is really good at the teams on their level or below them, but they always struggle against those rosters above them. So you're going to have to see if that's going to have that same performance coming out today, because I think the drafts that they showed yesterday against Ground Zero were very scaling heavy, and that wasn't really the approach that we knew about Ion, and they didn't really look as strong. Whereas, you know, we look at Direwolves, they're always conforming to this very similar style of just frontline, carries. This is the kind of comp they want to run, and I think that it's nice that they have found what they believe is the key to success for themselves in scrims.
And big thing for me as well, there, Tally, is the fact that Ion were able to win both those games in under 25 minutes. They were incredibly fast-paced, right? It was just aggression, you know, a comp that was able to snowball as a result of that one, right? So I need to see some form of early game control, I suppose, from Direwolves, and a lot of that is going to come down to the identity that we asked Chungy about before. So hopefully all that good practice doesn't get them dizzy when it comes to locking in what their identity is going to be, and they can show us a much stronger result this time.
Yeah.
No dizziness here, guys. No spins, no twirls, none of that. No, we can't do it. We can't have it. Sorry, Skimmy, you're going to stand perfectly still as we're going to see side select of which team. There you go. Frozen like a statue. Whoa. Who it is. Ion is picking up blue side. Who would have thunk it?
Wow.
Me. I would have thunk it.
I know you would have. That's why I said. I was hoping you'd answer like that.
Yeah.
Just like a statue. Always knows.
I am curious, though, what is going to be like first pick priority in this occasion, right? Because we've seen more and more of the Ezreal come out, but it feels as if more and more teams are then like, okay, well, we're not going to punish it with a lot of tanks, so you kind of get away with the itemization that Ezreal wants to go towards, but it does feel like that difference, that big difference between Styx and Katsuri is we want to see Katsuri on that hyper-scaling crit champion that needs the time, needs the scaling, but you need some agency elsewhere, otherwise it does feel again that the game's going to be done before he's even got that third, fourth item where he can, solo take over.
Yeah, too many differences, Skimmy. And you know what the other differences we have to consider is who you are going to put your Twitch channel points into right up there, because that is the difference of making or losing points, Tally. It's just simple. It's simple arithmetic. I'm not good like that. I can't do it, but that's okay. But you can, Twitch chat. You can do it. But let's look at our predictions, because that's just as important. Let's have a look at the squiz of what we are. I love how I don't know any of these. This is the best part. So we don't know who it is. And ooh, okay. Ooh. It's a little bit more spread. Okay. All right.
All right.
Can I start? I'll start first, and then we'll go to Tally, because Tally's very similar. So we've all got very similars around the top side, right? I think I wanted to give Chungy the benefit of the doubt, but I'm looking at this bot lane, and I've given Shinky a little bit more love, purely because I haven't seen the performance I've wanted out of Hex Flash. I'm not sure if it's a drafting thing or if it's anything else, but I feel like Shinky can get a little bit more, which is why I've also gone for the 2-0 for Ion. I just think that mid lane, it is just the Chovy game though, Tally.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the mid lane is a very obvious one for us, especially in the last time these teams met. There was such a dominating lane, but the bot lane was one that was particularly hard for me. I think that in terms of skill level, I would say it's pretty even, like Simi has gone down the middle, but I just think the way that Direwolves plays, that this team enables their bot lane a lot more than Ion does, where Ion wants to bring their resources towards the mid lane, whereas, you know, the Direwolves comp is always about making sure Katsuri is online, and I think that Shinky is really always on the ball when it comes to the meta, and he always picks champions that are really good. We saw him play that Poppy and how much success he had on that.
Look, yeah, I agree. Skimmy?
Yeah, the only thing we haven't really touched on, I've taken a point away in terms of the Doraemon-Chungy matchup, because I think if it was Chungy in his native position in mid lane, he should be favored. But based on the fact that he's had a few struggles adjusting to the role, figuring out, okay, what champions can actually move over there, I would still give the nod there to Doraemon. But I think mechanically, if on an even playing field, they can definitely trade one for one. So yeah, keen to see what happens.
Can you see what happens? And you know what? That's the best segue we can have to get into this game, guys. Go have a blast. I'm going to be over here howling, getting ready for Direwolves.
What a transition that one is. Okay. Thank you so much there, Pike. Yes, guys, let's load into day number 2 of the LCO playoffs. And this time, where the stakes are as high as they can be here, Tally.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of target bans going towards Jovi right now. So Direwolves recognizing that they do not want to allow Jovi to have any kind of presence in the mid lane. They want to get rid of all these champs who can really contest that 2v2, because we mentioned how important it is for Direwolves to have a winning mid 2v2 And since they are on the red side, it is quite easy for them to draft that, counter pick support, which would allow them to have, bot lane priority as well, which is going to be able to shut down Jovi even more.
Yeah, it certainly can do. Let's see what the first pick priority is. You see the name and you think there's no way, especially when the Rumble, as well as the Ezreal, are up and available. Potentially you go for the Corki, knowing that Tristan has been denied.
Okay.
But they'll say, nope, above all else, we need this one.
I think that this is a potential mistake. While we do know Ezreal is Styx's champion, he is so good on this. I think that Rumble is a standalone pick. Skimmy, and then there's nothing really in the top lane that contests it or can really match up to that solo AP threat in the top side. And I think when you get to play Rumble top, there's when you get to play stuff like the Sedge jungle, like the Xin, like the the Viego, which when enabled by all this CC can be really strong. But they don't pick Skimmy, so what am I talking about?
Okay, yeah.
What am I talking
Who cares? What do we know? What do we know? We know nothing. We just say what we see on the screen. That's what we've been paid to do, and that's what the script writers want us to indulge in. So yes, Sejuani and the Corki Tristana denied. So what do you reckon? What do you reckon? Is this a Rumble angle? I'm wondering where else it could go. Because surely it's Doraemon's, as we've seen him play it time and time again and just absolutely crush it.
It's always a Rumble angle, Skimmy. No matter what, especially on Doraemon, he has so much success in this champion. He's such a good laner, and I think that he's like the silent killer of Ion. He doesn't really get a lot of resources. A lot of that is going towards Jovi, being very aggressive in the mid lane, whereas, Doraemon just up in the top lane, playing his 1v1, always does really well in his individual matchups, and that's really nice to see.
Certainly is. Couple that with the Leona, and you've got a lot of fire to contend with. So many ways to empower the Ezreal to proc all that damage in those early 2v2 trades. Let's see what the response will be then from Direwolves. If it's not to be a Nautilus, knowing that that one's still up and available, then they may have something tricky up their sleeves that they wish to conceal. That would seem like the go-to if we were looking to try and hide our way through this initial draft and just feel out how this best of 3 is going to operate.
Yeah, so going for the Nautilus means they are, they want lockdown for the Ezreal. You can go for something like the Braum answer into the Leona, right? Because it is a good matchup, but then you have no threat onto this Ezreal, and Styx can be an absolute menace in that mid game, as he does outrange almost every single champion League Legend. So you always want to go for some form of engage into this Ezreal. I do think though, Skimmy, with this Sejuani being picked and knowing Chungy, this might be heading to the top side, especially if Mayfan's Zinzao is left out.
Yeah, certainly could be. I'm excited for this one. Something we've been considering for a hot minute, and they're not going to completely invest in it, knowing that it is still a very flexible pick. That's why Iron will ban away the Cassante, showing respect to one of the most stable and consistent champions in its position. But the Yasuo now, as the Win brothers do in tandem, get denied. And would they venture even further to remove one more and really make sure that the mid lane is chipped away at?
And I think we're going to see a new champion from Jovi because, he's kind of forced to play AD here, right? You really want this Rumble to be solo AP. The Corki, Yasuo, Tristana, Yone all being taken away. We know that, these are his champions. I believe the Ezreal is a flex, right, Skimmy? But it doesn't make sense to take it away from that Leona pairing, especially with Styx. It's such a strong bot lane. So, we might get to see something like a Lucian come out of Jovi in the mid lane. The champion is historically really good into Corki just based on trading patterns. You can always match the Phosphorus Bomb with the dash and just, output some more damage in those trades.
I'll have to wait and see what he decides to go for. If he does need an extra little bit of AD to round it all out, Ketsuri going to go against it and say, you know what, I don't need mobility. You've removed my Aphelios, but my Ashe is the next best in line. Giving them another sense of that engaged threat. Locking it in with, now you got the Naut, now you got the Sejuani, and anybody that makes one big misstep, they're going to get pounced upon.
Yeah, and they are holding that flex pick all the way down the line, so Daiwa's going to be out that. There's going to be an Azir coming out for Jovi, so a very standard, front to back. The enemy team, a lot of front line. Corki doesn't really have that saying, AP Corki spams his rockets, outranges Azir. He is in Azir's range now with his, 550 auto attack range. So not a bad pick, but there is that potential of this, 3-man front line coming out of the Direwolves side where they can get quite tanky. And, there is 3 carries or 3.5 carries in the Vi from the Ion side, but there's a lot of variance when teams fall behind. They just lack damage to kill these members.
And I suppose in that same conversation, it's a case of, well, who shreds these tanks? Because the Ezreal will find it hard to itemize towards. You're going to be really hoping that the Azir gets accelerated so that Void Staff comes on through. There's the Karma, and this feels like an Emphas Karma if I've ever seen one. We discussed it last when he played in the league. He was very keen, if not able to play the carries, like the LeBlanc or the Ahri, to pick up supportive duties. And it feels like we are almost going back to week 1 where it's protect the president.
I think this might be a Karma top actually, Skimmy, just because I think that Corki in a long lane into Rumble is very unplayable. So I think that, Karma, we all know what tank Karma top is like, and the fact that even if you do go support AP, you can nullify champs like Rumble. Very easy to trade with that empowered W, get to the health back as Rumble walks at you. Very easy to land Mentor Qs on a champ who has to run at you to do any form of damage, and you can match that wave push in the early game. So I think that Karma in isolation is a good answer to the Rumble, but when you look at what they have paired on the top side in the Vi and Rumble, that 2v2 is very scary, and that's a point-and-click lockdown.
It certainly is. And I suppose it brings into question, now that we have supports going back into the top lane, do you feel like this is going to be what we've seen in the past, where you get that one item, then that's it. You stop actually hitting the waves, you stop soaking the XP, you are grouped up with the team and investing all your stocks in a carry bit. Yeah, sure, the Corki.
I think it's important that Chungi doesn't, fall for the, like, I'm a support or I'm a tank top, mindset a lot of people have, where it's just like you don't need items because you get one item and you're online. He is solo AP threat for this team. He needs to farm up well. He needs to, hopefully goes for that AP build instead of the, Moonstone build or the support build that we do know about. I think that is fine though, but there's always the worry about when you get to those mid-late game points, you spike earlier but you fall off, whereas with the AP build you spike later but you scale into the game. Those shields will be bigger. So as he is that sole AP threat for the team, he needs to be strong.
And there's something about it, right? A Fed Karma just hitting with the Mantra Q, and suddenly 50% of your entire HP bar is gone. You're saying, hang on, how's this happened? That is not balanced. But that's what Rumble can do as well, to be quite fair. They both emit tons of bursts. Well, let's load ourselves then into the Rift and kickstart our first elimination game of this year's playoffs. A chance for both Iron and Direwolves to show what they're about, and a chance for Direwolves in particular to find a little bit of revenge, having lost to this team only a couple of weeks before.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is a nice level 1 read by both teams. Ion suspects something's going to happen. When you see the enemy team with champs like Nort and Karma, it's quite obvious you are going to get invaded, or these champs want to abuse their level 1. So instead of fanning out and sitting in bushes, they're going to drop wards, they're going to wait for the enemy team to show, and they're going to be able to get information in response. So it's going to be both wards on buff. Shinky did get that sweep though, but since it was shared between the 5 members, it's not going to be level 2 on that first wave that we know those solo laners can achieve.
And there you have it as well there, Tally. Fan vote. 87% of you believe in that Iron are the majority vote. They are the favourites. They should be the one to close it out. And look, I'm not going to put it past you. They've certainly been in a run of hot form recently, and whilst they did drop down 2-0 in a quick affair to Ground Zero, certainly doesn't look like they are out without a paddle. They are keen to rocket back and show what they can do from this position instead. And I'm curious to sort of see where the majority of the aggression goes towards, right? We discussed already, we'd like to see Mayfun and Emphis link up to try and target down Jovi. But, if Doraemon gets ahead, maybe that's an indication that Kohli says, actually this game, I'm going to play towards the Rumble. Yeah,
I think this is going to be a very different look than what we, expected, right? A lot of our keys to victory was talking about Jovi, but this time he decided to go for this year, the scaling champ. Doesn't have that early game threat that a Corki does, right? Very hard to deal with the Gatling gun, especially when you need to constantly summon your soldiers to deal with the, last hitting these minions. So going to be able to get priority for Emphis there in the mid lane, and I think a lot of the pressure in the early game for both teams will go on for these side lanes, because there is a lot of gank threat onto, both lanes for both teams, right? Karma can set up the ganks pretty easily, Vi can set up the ganks pretty easily, Leona and Nola's very good at setting up the ganks, so going to be absolute freedom for these junglers to really do whatever they want in the early game.
They definitely got their work cut out for MS to fight in the sweet spot between farming up an absolute treat, making sure you're staying relevant and you can't be counter jungle, but at the same time responding to the engage that is always there for the taking, no doubt. Even before level 6, both a Vi and a Sejuani can get a whole lot accomplished. As it stands though, the Ashe is going to try and ruin that plan, and if anything else, actually grant Mayfun an indication. I know where the Vi is, what can you do with that?
He sees that he did use the Q, so he's going to be quite happy to take this Blast Cone over. The longer he waits, so that cooldown will come back up, Skimmy, but going to be a very easy trade for Mayfun with the passive proc and the Aftershock.
There it is. Doesn't mean that Jovi peels away, but the damage has already been done. The camp's been taken away, the blue buff's being looked at, and Chungi's here to back him up, and there's no signs of wanting to contest that. Kohli says, you know what, I'll take the L. I'll just do some counter map jungling, and I'm going to rely upon our lane states, which is quite dicey. Look at bot and look at mid. They're so pushed against them. Direwolves could definitely punish this.
And this is the, one of the really nice things about Ashe in competitive, right? You level that Hawkshot at 2, you throw out, you find out where the jungler is. Direwolves recognize they have 3 lanes of priority. Mayfun goes for the invade, and now that he is on that top side, his mid and bot who have priority can force Kohli out of the jungle, and this is going to be him getting no camps in response, and as long as the Direwolves side respects the gank pressure coming out of this Vi on the bot side of the map right now, he's going to fall quite far behind.
So far behind, so much protection, so many Spidey sensors indicating, well, there's only one play he could be, and we're going to look to try and quash that in a heartbeat. And it's going to be difficult now. Yes, he's gone for the Scuttler, and Hexflash is being dragged out of the bot lane to try and assist in this one, and I suppose Ezreal is one of the best AD carries to be left to his own devices, but they need to make sure that this one can be taken for short. Hookshot once again reveals that it's been stolen, and I think he's just done it in the nick of time before Mayfun rocks up.
I think they're going to be quite happy to give the blue away there. They have to deal with the bot wave that is bouncing, so they're going to collect that one. But when that wave is gone, all of a sudden now Kohli doesn't have the, the freedom to be able to stay in this jungle. The top crabs have been gone. As long as Emphis doesn't get caught out here, it's going to be nothing in the early game.
Oh, look at that. Beautifully done there by Kohli with the flash pounce to lock him down. Full set of flash of Emphis. Really punish this Cork. You can see top side as well. The Tether connecting to make sure that Flame Spitter doesn't get Chungy low. The shield, the movement speed, probably the best part of that one. Especially when the Harpoon doesn't connect. But you're seeing Ion now slowly, in these solo lanes in particular, starting to show signs of fighting back.
Yeah, and I think it's nice what we're seeing in the early game from Direwolves. I think this is also just a really good overall early game, and it's a good game plan they had to really deal with this Rumble skimming.
Certainly it is. We can even see what Bipemp had to make about this series as well, believing also there's going to be a 2-0 in their favor. That Jovi, like all of us have been saying, is the shining light of their team. So if they can find stability elsewhere, then maybe it is as easy as that. And that's why I think it is so surprising to us to see that whilst Azir is still incredibly scary, it's not going to be his old antics at 15 minutes in. I've got 2 or 3 kills. I'm already item spiking.
Yeah, but I also think Jovi is a player who's just really good in the mid game, right? He's really good with resources and gold, and Azir is going to be able to scale up in this game. And Jovi is a fantastic, mechanical player. So we're going to see him have the ability to make plays in that mid game if he does decide to go for the, as long as early, he can go for those flash shuffles. But Azir is a champ who can absolutely 1v9 games.
What in this circumstance would you like to see the Azir play towards, right? Because in the past we talked about you need to sit back and just let your Shurima shoulders get it all done. Other times it is that very much Faker-esque, find the flip, scoop, and go for the play. Is it one play style leaning harder than the other?
I think it's when you recognize, like, okay, your comp is outrange, you really need to force to engage, right? That's a nice thing about Azir. You can play to, kill champs who dive into you like the Sejuani and the Nautilus, but if you are outranged like by champs like Ezreal or Corki in particular, when he does get to those rapid fire cannon later stages in the game, you can still play for those flash shuffles to set your team up.
You certainly can if he gets under siege right now. Level 6 is there, but not for Mayfun, so unable to lock down Jovi as you would have hoped for. We did, for a second there, see the thoughts of Harry, believing that it should actually be a closer affair. Not the 2-0 like we've all been going for, but a 2-1. And knowing how well Harry's in right now, I would imagine that opinion holds a little bit of weight behind it. First objective being now looked at. The grubs are there. 6.5 minutes in. Flash to try and run away. There is the scoop on back. Right into the waiting arms of the Vi. First blood going into the hands of Hex Flash, but Ion in particular.
Yeah, and this is the strength of, the Vi in the early game. It's just so easy to, when you're set up to land that Q and how much damage you do with that passive proc. Really nice Zenith Blade from Hex Flash to find that engage. And this is what we wanted from this player. Wanted him to be freed up, be able to move around the map and impact the game with his jungler. And they have the Ezreal, so they have the freedom to do that.
That they certainly do. And whilst Katsuri keeps them locked underneath this tower, that's all right. You can get the consolation prize in some plates. I just get the spike item-wise just a fraction quicker than you with the Sheen, with the tier. And I'll be very grateful that we've won that skirmish topside because that is 3 grubs going our way and a Rumble that doesn't really need babysitting.
And this is probably, I'd say the only downside about the Direwolves comp scheme is the fact that they did draft the Sejuani without, any melee solo laners. So Mayfun is acting as a, engaged tank. He doesn't have that early game skirmishing power that we saw from Bliss where, Kevin was playing that one with the Yone and the Jax and how much he could take over the early game. This time, just going to be, farming, scaling, and matching any of that, or trying to play for counting eggs mainly. He wants to make sure this Vi, wherever she uses that assault and battery, will be shut down.
Yeah, the peel and protection style as opposed to, we've just got a bunch of bruises, we're running at you, tagging you up, and ready to claim those kills. Actually invites himself into Ion's jungle, sees what he can find. Collie is on that red buff, and he's not going to be able to get that one for free just yet, because Jovi has peeled away from the mid lane. He's being dragged away again as the ult gets committed for the 1v1. That's going to force the Justice Punch across the wall to safety. The red buff will have to be conceded, as Mayfun will secure it. You can see all the lanes pinching and collapsing, looking to say, well, if you go for this one, a bigger fight's about to occur.
Yeah, and I think that's something we're not really seeing in the camera there, is the fact that while Mayfun is invading, all the lanes are trading. We saw Emphis forcing mid priority and being ready to rotate. We saw the arrow being thrown out on bot lane to make sure that nothing would happen, and then we see the shuffle happening on mid, but Jovi has no mana to really pressure this one down.
Yeah, unfortunately doesn't have much left. Yes, she burnt the flash prior, but the Valkyrie was still up and available. It allowed Emphis to get the safety. But it is certainly keeping that one in suspension, and I suppose it's an old faithful, isn't it? If you've had enough of seeing Corki Tristana, how about Corki Azir?
Yeah, the old classic. But, this time it's a lot more in, I'd say, Corki's favor. He is a champ who can Valkyrie forward now. Just, because he is that 80 champ who does land that Phosphorus Bomb. It's such a, front-loaded amount of damage. Whereas the old Corki, very reliant on landing his rockets to do any poke. And it's just nice to see that it has changed a bit. The same old matchup, boring scaling, but at least there is a bit of action happening this time.
It's the same but different. There's a slogan for $50 million for somebody to pick up and make themselves a brand new startup with. But either way, it's a case of them saying, we wanted blood, we wanted action, that's what we were promised. It's 9 minutes in and only a single kill with no difference.
Yeah, C-Stick staying around on a very, very low amount of mana. You're going to see if they do want to skirmish here. If this does happen, this is going to be a Null Assault and an Ash Ult being off cooldown. Do not have the Hawk Shot to know this one is going on though, but Mayfan might spot them out on the exit, and it could be a potential collapse.
Second time's the charm, it would seem, though, that Collie can literally do it in front of Mayfan's face and say, yep, you've been stealing my buffs. How about I return the favor to you? How do you like the taste of that medicine? As Hexflash is looking for one target, and one target in particular, that is going to be the Solar Flare getting flashed out of the Zenith Blade that left a lot to be desired. And now a Collie position, which is very lucky to dodge out of. They tried to couple the depth charge with the Ash Arrow. It didn't work. There's a bit of negative synergy there, but Emphis with his last stretch of mana, Valkyries across the Dragon Pit wall and claims the killing blow.
Yeah, and that's the thanks to the mid priority. I thought that one was a bit of an overextension. The fact they didn't hold the Ash Arrow for, when that Naught ult does proc and guarantee the CC, but the fact that Emphis did move there because, Jovi is overstaying in lane with a low amount of mana and cannot match. That's just, really well played by Dials, and we're seeing a lot of teamwork come out of this team, and I think this is really, really nice to see because Ion is a team that we're so used to seeing them dominate early games and use that to take over the game because, without that, their mid games have not been looking the best, Gimme.
Yeah, it does seem like they've been fairly dealt with, right? A lot of that to be neutralized, and I'm wondering just how much that comes down to the Karma in particular that's taking down this S+ tier champion in the Rumble that's been unable to get ahead. Hasn't opted for the Ignite, has gone for the TP. The more safe option, you would say, given what we've seen in the past of the Rumble players. But it's a chance for you to think, all right, Direwolves, if this is you on the front foot, what does this new look actually look like?
Yeah, and I think this is a good look for sure. They haven't, I wouldn't say they have changed up their drafting patterns, too, creatively, but they are just playing overall better as a team, where that's going to be Mayfan on those tank junglers. And I think that we might have fallen into the trap of, mage junglers just being the dual dial, but, I'm going to hold my points here. Sticks is stuck. Oh no, 1v3 bot side.
He is on a 1v3 bot side. The TP instantly comes out, and that's enough for Direwolves to say, no, don't want anything to do with this.
Oh.
I am not interested. Make it a double TP.
The flash.
As Doraemon's frustrated not being able to drop the equalize and say, you think that's a trap? Watch this instead. Well, that Shreema shuffle left nobody traveling back even through space and time, and Shinky is still on the great chase to safety with the Riptide to slow and the hook to run away. But then the collapse comes from the bottom side of the river. Now Coley wants to get in the action as well. He's got the ultimate, but it would be a massive reach to dive that tower.
Yeah, and this is the response that we saw last time, Timmy, right? Emphis, we saw Jovi overstay with no mana, and the fact that Emphis could move and impact the bot side, but this time Emphis hasn't recalled from that first play, so even though both Direwolves Solians have teleport, they cannot, respond in tandem to that fight on the bot side while, Coley is soloing away those grubs, so I think that Ion have got away with murder with the fact they were able to play that 5v4 scenario and win.
Absolutely, given the item discrepancies as well, you can already see that Emphis is fresh off that reset. Big reason probably why he didn't want to, on top of having no mana, is he wanted to get that Trinity Force. There's Styx jumping across the wall, and that's going to be them soaking up the ultimate. Hexflash doing nicely there on the Ash shot, but then Shinky finds the hook. He finds the uptime for Cat3 to gattle them down with these arrows, and it's going to be a one-man knockup. Oh, literally 1v5. He couldn't get anybody.
And that is just, Skimmy, this is probably one of the biggest, issues in competitive play is teleport tracking, right? So the first time around we see Direwolves not respecting the double teleport coming out of Ion, or not respecting the fact that their soul laners can't respond. And then this time, after Ion have made that play, they cannot be hitting this tower bot side, especially without, sweeping wards in lane. Direwolves walk up, point and click, ult, very easy to lock down Styx, even though he does have double summoners here. And this is the priority coming off mid lane. This is the teleport coming out of Chungi. He doesn't care if he misses some farm top lane, because all he needs to do is impact this bot side and make sure Katsuri is strong and he can take over the game.
And there's just no world in which Styx escapes from that one. It was going to be the tether from the Karma, it was going to be the hook from the Northless, it was going to be the lockdown that would have lasted, well, really, through another entire HP bar. So it was a very hard situation to escape from, but now the dust may just settle a fraction. All those TPs are being burnt, back-to-back plays, ironically, in the same space bot sides, and an objective that has been claimed. 5 grubs have gone the way of Ion, whereas Direwolves playing for the Dragon win condition.
And I'm going to say something crazy, Skimmy, and I'm going to get proven wrong in about 30 seconds, but, with no teleports being up in the game, we should expect some quiet downtime, right? There shouldn't be any action really going on the map right now. It's going to be a lot of catching waves and waiting until those 2 iron spikes come through. Do not have this Salt and Battery on Collie right now. He is sitting in that bot bush. You can see the 30 seconds till that one does come off cooldown, whereas, Mayfan is clearing down. I think by the time he gets those camps cleared and he is around the bot side, there could be a potential fight.
Well, it does certainly seem that way, right? 2 pink wards committed to the bot lane brush to really make sure that they can get Coley into here undetected. All the control wards for Direwolves are behind enemy lines inside their jungle. No flanking opportunities for them on this occasion. And Coley will in the end to say, back to base I go. As he parts away, Mayfan enters and wonders, maybe it's my time to look for a lane gank.
Yeah, so it's really nice that Direwolves bot lane is respecting their potential gank. They're waiting until Mayfun is in their back pocket, and then they use their Nautilus to walk up, because if they engage on Shinky, he's going to absorb so many of those cooldowns, and they're going to be able to follow that up with the Sejuani Ashe damage, who are unthreatened at that point. Also, something I haven't really touched on, Steamy, is the fact that Direwolves have secured themselves 2 dragons already, right? And this is the Mountain Soul. This is a very scary dragon to have on a Sejuani especially.
And we were already talking about it from the drafting stage, right? That there's going to be some issues with him trying to shred down these resistances. That Mountain Soul on top of all things would be maybe a bridge too far. But all that vision control in the bottom half of the map means that Direwolves should be fully aware that Ion are hovering and hunting for some action. This to be denied though, as Mayfun will get the blue and get the hell out of there. And it almost feels like both teams are like, well, with nothing to play for, 3 minutes on the next dragon, a Baron up in 5, let's just get some power, let's make sure everybody has their items, and that is the case for Direwolves, whereas for Styx, he still needs that Triforce.
I think something also to note right now is, you know, in this kind of game state scheming, it is so important not to use your cooldowns on, you know, potential fights that do not result in an objective, right? So the closer we get to the dragon, it's important not to, you know, use an all-this ult that doesn't result in an objective, because if you use that ult, if you use a Leona ult, if you use like a Vi ult, and all of a sudden they respawn and run to dragon, you're down a crucial cooldown coming into the objective that might potentially decide this game later on.
Certainly could, right? And we've seen it be the punishment on a few occasions where a team makes a play, they feel inspired, they run it back and do it again, realize, oh, hang on a minute, we don't have all the bits of power we needed to win that first fight, and really emulate the same outcome yet again. A bit of a quick pause here, you'd imagine, as unaware of what's caused it at this stage, but it's an interesting game so far. Doesn't feel like this is going to be the same, you know, path as last week in week 6, where this is all done by the 25-minute mark. There's a lot of resistance, a lot of pushback from either side.
Yeah, and we were talking on the cast how we thought today was going to be a much more bloody affair, right? You know, we are coming to a lower bracket. We expect the games to be a lot more unhinged from our lower seeded teams, but I think that this has been the cleanest game of playoffs so far. A lot of the plays happening from both teams are coordinated as a team. The teleports, the you know, the objectives, the engage timings, the invades that we see from Direwolves. I think that especially Direwolves, a team that we thought were going to be quite, you know, messy. They are playing extremely well together as a team, and you know, whoever is leading that communication is doing a really good job.
And I think it's a real testament to the fact that whilst they haven't completely overhauled their draft and said, you know what, we need to just reinvent the wheel, they are finding a lot more success with this, and it's not a case of, well, we all need to go to bot lane, it's Katsuri or bust. And it's nice to see where this game is heading towards. I mean, you've definitely neutered the aggression that Jovi's known for in the mid lane. You've kept pace then with Coley in the jungle. And the Rumble, which we've seen constantly banned away in, well, at least yesterday's action, it's being controlled by the Karma.
Yeah, but I also think, you know, with this champion, you don't need to, like, feel pressure to, you know, win lane. Rumble is a champ who scales extremely well, right? I think the main thing, you know, when you look at the enemy team, there's an Ashe. Katsuri is on that Ashe. Whenever he gets caught up by the Leona, or, you know, the Vial, you just pair that up with that Equalizer, and it is so hard to deal with that as no mobile champion. Whenever he does not have that flash, the Rumble can create so much space, so much damage on that backline to really allow, you know, Styx and Jovi to do as much damage as they can, and I think that has been the story of playoffs so far. There are a lot of strong champions in the meta, right? But it's really hard to, you know, pick them at the same time. I think that ease of access or ease of damage or ease of execution is really important and something that's being underrated.
We certainly do love that, right? We want to make sure that these are as easy to execute so that we, you know, get some clean gameplay. You don't want to see mistakes all day, every day, especially when your, you know, tournament lifeline is on the line, like it certainly is here in a lower bracket. And knowing that you like to be a bit of a merchant, you absolutely love your artillery mages. I think we've come to know you now as the Locket merchant as well. And I see both supports working towards Warmogs. Does this feel like another game, especially into that of a Rumble, where Locket could find some value?
Yes and no. I think that Locket can be a fine item into Rumble, but I also think that a lot of his damage, you know, you can't avoid it, right? The thing with Karthus is no matter what, it is going to do that, you know, 700, 800 damage to you. You can't avoid it. But, you know, with that Rumble ult, you can walk out of it. You're only going to take a few ticks. And I think that supports having that extra movement speed, that 15% out of combat move speed is so nice. But it is a luxury item. And, you know, most of the time you are forced to go for that cheaper option in competitive.
They certainly are. They are both equal on components, waiting to fully complete that item, but this might be our first indication of a true 5v5. There is no Doraemon. He's still in bot lane. He's going to commit that TP now. The Ashe are coming from the base there by Katsuri. They find the one-man scoop, and they instantly annihilate Chuggy. There's the equalizer, and that is the dream as it has to burn flashes to run away from it.
Yeah, and this is the same story as what we saw yesterday. We were talking about Antic with their comp front to back, right? It's so important for that Gragas to be with his team to make sure they're able to split up the fight. And this time, Chungi is the one playing the flank Karma, and it's just going to do absolutely nothing, especially when Coley is going to use that engage onto him. As we go onto the replay, Daiwal's not being grouped up is so hard for them, because look at this, they land both of their long CCs onto the most important member in Joby, but there is no follow-up, and the fact they're able to engage so easily onto Chungi here and there's no response means it's just a mispositioning or a setup error on behalf of Daiwal's.
Absolutely crazy that Jovi can get hit by double ultimates, get CC'd for an eternity, and just be like, all right, I'll walk away and I'll do a play on you. So whilst he doesn't get the killing blow, he gets another assist. He's passively farming. He's quite happy with the game state. Doesn't feel pressured, and if it is to be a game where scaling is the overarching theme, then to be up close to 2,000 gold this early on puts them in good stead.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have that gold lead, but I also want to, touch back on what we thought were the win conditions of both teams, right? And I think that they are fulfilling. Both teams are fulfilling what we really wanted from each side. Daiwals didn't have to draft the, winning mid 2v2 because it is a very, since they did get that Corki Azir matchup, it's very passive and very scaling heavy. And this is where it's nice to see the emphasis. A player who struggled really hard in the laning phases in the past meetup that these teams had is doing really well this time. And especially on the Corki, can scale up and is on the clock to, really carry this game.
Yeah, both those mid laners are the most fed in the game at the moment with about 7,000 gold in the bank, in the inventory, ready to utilize, both sitting on that 1.5 item spike and ready to find a little bit more action at this next Drake. Out goes the Glacial Prison, doesn't connect. Mayfarn looking for aggression on towards Holy, remove that smite, and maybe we can rumble. The Hex Flash has jumped the gun. He's really scooped himself into a dire situation, flashed out the safety, baited them all into a fight at the jungle ramp. And it's only Jovi they found so far. Goalie limping away, but he does fall on down. Doraemon with the double, make it a triple. It's the ace.
What a nice turnaround by Hex Flash. I think that fight should have been extremely one-sided for Ion, just based on that initial engage onto fighting Chungi. But Jovi does go in, does try to go for that scoop, which is the trap of Azir. You always want to go for that big ulti, but doesn't find anyone. Falls down, and we see the both carry members as we go into this replay. Doing a really good job, doing so much damage from the Daiwal side. But I think when that initial engage from Daiwal's fails, you got to be very cautious. Grouping up and looking for these plays is completely fine. This is the Dragon. This is what we want to be doing. But really nice engage from Ion to find Chungi, making sure he's out of the game. But with Jovi going in and being taken out straight away, this almost was turned around, right, from a very bad position as an initial, response to Daiwal's.
Yeah, it's almost like you got a slow fight there from Ion, right? You're ramping up as the Azir. You're certainly getting that passive working over time as the Ezreal. And then you can run them down, be it the Vi or the Rumble with the red carpet and the harpoons as well. So it felt rushed from either side. But overall, I think Ion are quite happy with the outcome, knowing that, well, we've denied that Dragon. You're not going to get that soul. And as these respawn times become longer and longer and longer, the more we can punish you, we can utilize our win condition in those grubs.
Yeah, and talking about win conditions, I think the gold lead right now isn't too large to really worry about if you're a Daiwals fan, because it's going to come down to execution, especially when you look at the inventories. It's 2 items on a lot of these carries. You aren't seeing the Muramanic being complete with the Empress yet, so he doesn't have that huge power spike where we see this Corki take over with how much damage he does when he gets the armor shred going. But if they do find the execution, they do find that engage, they are able to survive the initial engage that comes out the enemy, they should feel very comfortable.
It is worth noting also that Katsuri is incredibly strong now with the Kraken as well as the Phantom Dancer for all that uptime to really take down any single target he focuses on, but he doesn't have the flash, and that is the crucial part. He can be contained, for lack of a better word here, as, well, there goes out the full combo. Everybody from Freljord getting themselves excited here as Hex Flash is the focus. He jumps in with that Zenith to try and shred somebody down, but he's got no backup, and there's nobody able to get that killing blow to take down either Shinky or anybody. They're all bleeding critically low, but they'll lose nobody and take down 2 themselves.
Yeah, Jovi steps up there to hit the tower, doesn't really respect that the top side of the enemy jungle is Fog of War right now, so he gets clipped by that really nice Glacial Prison from Mayfarn that we get to see in the replay. And just look at this fight scheme. The fact that Jovi dies, doesn't cast a single ability to auto-attack anyone, and it's still close, right? And this is just thanks to, the red carpet and how much damage Styx is doing with this 2 item spike on Ezreal. It's probably the strongest point in the game for him right now.
Certainly is, yeah, over 2 and 4, but it doesn't feel like that. The pressure is there, and if we can get ourselves to a point where Zonius is there too, then if he continues to play at this pace, there are going to be a few more missed abilities coming across and coming from afar. But as you say, 21 minutes in, and whilst it says on the scoreboard that they're up by close to 4,000 gold, it does still feel like Direwolves are giving them a fair run for their money.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say the main strength or the main gap right now in terms of strength is in the top lane. I was talking about Doraemon being this, silent killer of the team. He wasn't really played to, just, existed in top lane, and then he rocks up the team fights all of a sudden, finds himself a triple kill, finds himself 2 items already at the 21.5-minute mark, and he is so strong. If he does land these harpoons and shreds the magic resist, it's going to be so much damage he's outputting.
And it's so nice, right, when we had that patch change many, many moons ago where the double Landries can actually stack together now. If anybody gets clipped by anything, even if they're low, you're still wondering, do I need to flash, do I need to barrier, do I need to do anything here? Because I could still be in a lot of trouble, which certainly could be the case right now, as Mayfun's looking for the widest flank. One target on mine and one target only. Kills Jovi, who goes for a interesting shuffle, like he's at the skate park. Not the focus just yet. Doraemon, they want his champion bounty, and that's what Ketsuri will claim. Shinky running for the hills, Riptide to slow. Chungy dared to assist with shields as well, but Emphis could be caught out of position here, with Jovi staring him down for a potential 1v1, but the mere pressure of Ketsuri from afar is enough to say, I don't know what we're doing here anymore, guys. Goes in for the scoop, they hit him back with the hook, and Emphis instantly punishes.
Skibby, this is a very classic Azir performance. I think, when we see Jovi not have the keys to something that wants to go in, he has such nice performances, but every single time we see him on champs like the Yone, like the Yasuo, even the Azir, he's playing extremely aggressive, and this is, might be the downfall of them in the mid game.
And this might be some really good, preparation from Direwolves to identify he plays a lot of different champions really, really well. Let's make him uncomfortable, and this might be the outcome.
Yeah, and do go into the replay. I thought this was going to be quite disastrous for the Direwolves side. You see they're completely split up. The Azir tower is summoned. The Karma is TPing to a flank, but Doraemon TP's underneath both carries and doesn't have flash, and he's going to fall down straight away. And with that, crucial member being taken out and a shutdown going over to one of the really important members of Direwolves, they're going to be quite happy with the turnout of this fight.
And it just feels like a little bit of chaos here. We've both chucked out skills, we've exchanged blows. Let's do something. Jovi says, I feel inspired. There's an engage angle. And becomes a sitting duck yet again, and maybe just a little bit of pressure on his end. I'm not used to not being the carry, and I'm feeling like I need to make something happen. Also on the tail end of that fight, right, we did see Styx get caught out of position, forced to burn both the cleanse and the flash. Yes, you can maybe get away with the arcane shift built into the base kit of the Ezreal, but now Ketsuri's got a big trump card. He's got the flash, he's got everything to go. And a dragon of 15.
And this is going to be the big fight. He's mentioned that dragon is coming up. Emphis is split off in the team right now, so he needs to go the long way around to regroup, and we're going to see Ion maintain this priority, and probably going to be a very fast engage coming out as we see the TP on mid lane already, Skimmy.
Yeah, flash Solar Flare coming out of X-Flash to try and catch out Ketsuri. They've burnt at least one summon in the process. You've got no cleanse now. Still would have loved to have burnt that flash, but not enough pressure to combine. With that one being burnt, Colito says, I got one target of mine, and that has removed this guy from the equation. So you know what? Forget Ketsuri, kill the Corki. He flashes to safety. Ion are overextended, and Direwolves catch them with waiting arms. One by one, they fall on down. They've taken 3, only to lose their jungler.
Ooh, not enough damage, Shimmy, but it's the same look at every fight. We see they're not really comboing the engage together. We see the Solar Flare go out, traded for a cleanse, but then all of a sudden, Coley goes for that flash engage onto the enemy team, onto Emphis. He has both summoners and is able to walk that one out. And Jovi, instead of playing for the DPS, wants to follow up on that dive, and he keeps getting himself caught out of position.
Does really feel like that mismatch of understandings. Great flash to disengage away from that hook, or that would have been another target that Direwolves would have munched up in their wake. And look, this game needs to take a second because it's getting a little bit out of hand. You can see once again it's Iron fighting from the river to regain control.
Yeah, and I think that, look at the positioning right now. So Jovi gets caught out. If this hook is not landing on him and he is playing that front to back, he has 2.5 items, almost 3. He's going to shred the front line, and that's the most important thing. They need to break the front line and allow Styx to be able to start shooting the back line with these Mystic shots, because he is so fed right now. But his team is just dying around him, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They don't have the ability for him to, be a menace in the back line and shred you down in a couple of autos, or maybe just a couple of cheeky Mystic shots on those very squishy members. The tanks are standing their ground. The Karma shields are starting to add up. And, the lockdown of the Sejuani Nautilus combo is proving to be enough to cause a bit of panic amongst the ranks of Iron. It is still them with that 2.5k gold lead. And perhaps now a very dicey situation of 4 minutes into a soul point. Baron has always been there. Do we now feel pressure that we need to do a bit of a Baron dance and try and force you to come in for another 5v5?
You really want to pull Baron in scenarios like this when you have this clear summon advantage and a clear member to kill. But, Emphis has the Valkyrie, so he's able to navigate the engage that comes out, and Katsuri still has access to that flash, whereas, not having the cleanse, so he still has a get out jail free card. And this Baron hurts him. This is not the old Baron where you can really ignore what it does. This is that new raid boss Baron. A lot of people really bad at those raid mechanics and get hit by a lot of the abilities that Baron does, and people don't realize that you really don't want to group against this thing anymore because it does a lot of cleave damage. You want to spread out in the pit and make sure you're not staying next to people, because if you are, it amps the damage it does and it really hurts.
Certainly does, and I mean, those kind of players you'd say probably aren't playing with add-ons all week or is starting to understand the mechanics that happen from the Baron itself. There is Styx though, nice little cleanse out of that situation, could have been in trouble, caught on mid-wave. The trade will be the fact that, hey, there's the solo flare, Chungy, you are the focus, burns that flash, Shinky with the big knock-up onto everybody, but that will be his dying breath. Katsuri instantly flashing out of, oh no, Jovi, he tried so hard, and yet again, it's an airball with that Emperor's Divide.
At least he died without having flash this time, Skibby. You know, we saw him die almost 4 times or 5 times in a row with that flash up, but this time he missed the flash and dies. But he's sort of inting Skibby, right? You know, he's looking, he feels very precious to go in, and this might be, you know, panic in comms from the team of the Island where they're deciding, we can't deal with Katsuri and Empress right now. They're too strong. We need to kill these carries because it is a protect the carry comp, right? And he feels quite pressured to get onto that backline, but that's not his responsibility. He's playing Azir, he's playing a champ who shreds the front line and then waits for his time to go in. It's all about Hex Flash and Coley finding the access for him to do damage, but very, you know, standard trade of the arrow for the cleanse in the mid lane. But I understand they want to trade back in tandem, and I think this is a good response. They find out Shinky, they've won this fight, right? Hex Flash has the Warmonks he can heal up, but then Jovi overextends, and, you know, this is a consultation prize for the side of Direwolves who lost their support for nothing.
Yeah, it's an overreach at that point, right? It feels like they've done their job. The Rumble Equalizer was fantastic. Split the fight in half. You found the isolated kill. The fight's over, but yeah, something about Jovi, man. We absolutely love him because he really is that, you know, all-in player no matter the scenario. He's got the Crypt Bloom now. He's got that Magic Pen. Surely there's a world in which you can say, I don't need to go for these faker shuffles. I can just sit back, shred you down, and give Styx all the time in the world because he's got the Blade of the Rune King now. So let's just take these tanks and then we can work our way to back. Yeah,
and, you know, talking about Styx's build, I do like the Blade of the Rune King to deal with these, you know, Warmonk stackers, but also, you know, looking at the comp, you see Karma and Nullis. You know, is a potential Serpent's Fang angle, is that going to delay your build or, you know, stunt your spike too much? Because the shields that are being output by Chungy are quite a, you know, pest or something that's really hard to deal with in these fights, and Ezreal is a champ who can build, you know, stuff like Serpent's Fang to really deal with these supporters.
Serpent Fang, an item that we certainly saw many times in the past be an absolute necessity when it was just Karma mid all day, every day, supports running the map. Not one we see all too common now, but could be a situation for it. Certainly could be a situation for it. If the Baron gets looked at one more time, only a minute on that Mountain Soul that Direwolves are very much keen to lock in place. Yet again, Katsuri with no flash. He's got the cleanse up and available, and that is always what we'll be taking a bit of a stock check on when these objectives get looked at. Where are the summoners?
Yeah, and, you know, I think while we are saying that the cleanse, I mean, the flash is down for Katsuri, does have that cleanse, so that long range engage of the Solar Flare can be walked out of, but they have to really worry about Coley, and maybe even Dorimon if he's caught off on the side like this.
It could be. The Asher is going to absolutely miss. That's crazy. Rumble to turn it around with the Equalizer to make sure that whoever aggresses onto him is not getting out for free. Coley with little to no HP burning down, but he will just survive. Gets a shield, hits the mid-range, and then Jovi says, watch what I can do here. There's the scoop. There's the shuffle. I will die this time for it, but surely we're fighting from a winning position here, boys. Styx and Dorimon, they see 3 members at 20%. They just can't get the killing blow. It's pure frustration. Styx wants it, and Styx gets it.
This is what I'm talking about, these fights, Timmy. They, you know, they really unleash Styx, and Chungy not really respecting that Styx is still here. The Alchemy Shift comes off cooldown.
Surely look for one more. Surely they can get this one here. The flame's going to just slow. Oh, it's so dicey underneath that tier 2 tower. They say, you know what? Fair enough. We're low just like you are. And still members of Direwolves are just trying to get back to base.
They are going to reset this. The most important thing right now is this Mountain Soul, right? Ion needs to run to this Mountain Soul and secure it as fast as possible because we see this time is ticking down for Direwolves, and this, if this is going to be another contest for this objective, all of a sudden there is no flashes on a lot of these Ion members, and all the kill threat that went on to Katsuri in that last fight is just not there.
Here we go. Dragon Soul attempt number 2. Iron are the ones to start this one up before. Hawkshot not going to truly reveal who is there in the area at the Dragon Pit itself. Only now being revealed that 2 members are there. The Dragon already down to 50%. It's looking like Mayfan has no inclination that he wants to contest this. They'll say, you know what, another 5 minutes. Maybe a few more invitations for us to fight around this Baron.
Yeah, you know, we are seeing a lot of items being completed in inventories of these members. Chungy's look like he's being caught out there. A lot of cooldowns being thrown onto him.
A lot of cooldowns, literally everything being chucked at him right now, and Chuggy is still persisting. Joby once again looking for the Shreema Shuffle. He gets instantly hit by the Ash Arrow, goes gold and comes out and tries to do what he can. The rocket doesn't connect, so he's not going to fall on down. Mayfun somehow gets to safety across that wall. Shinky with what will seem like his dying breath says, Katsuri, I will empower you, but it's a flank across the wall, and that's what Styx is there to claim. They wiped the ball with the opposition, and now they're attacking the base.
And, you know, that's honestly, this is just the Styx show right now. So we're really watching him take over these fights. Katsuri does not have that, you know, focus really ramped up. You need to get all of those auto attacks off so you can start firing off that one. And he's just jumping into the enemy team. Styx is jumping into the enemy team, finding these members off, and he's doing such a good job. But that is a 1,000 gold shutdown that went over to Katsuri. We already see 4 items in his inventory.
Very, very scary at this point. The crit scaling is starting to get out of control. Given any time at all to do what he likes, he will 1v9. They're Baron at 4,000, still out at smite range. Mayfun teasing, hoping, hunting. Look at that, the scoop back in. Sweet dreams to Mayfun, down for just shy of a minute as Hex Flash has done his job so perfectly here. Iron, take this Baron. Is the smite there? It does get confirmed. And now a bit of daylight separating these two teams.
3 Baron buffs secured, 4 Ion there. As we do go into the replay, you know, Shungi caught out of position here, but he buys so much time for his team, right? So many cooldowns are blown on him, and the most important thing is the fact that Katsuri and Emphis should feel freed up to do so much damage here. We see Jovi go in, unable to find that shuffle as the arrow does hit him in the face, but he has Zonius this time to save him. But Katsuri cannot respond to the damage here, right? Because it's so hard to trade auto attacks with an Ezreal who can just do, you know, 3 or 4 worth of your auto attacks from one Mystic shot. So you need to ramp up and take over these fights. But does find the 1-for-1, which is really important because he does have that 1,000 gold shutdown. And if they are playing that front-to-back scenario, where there are people in front of Katsuri, the tanks on the side of Ion are going to shred.
They are. They really are at this point, right? Very close to full build overall. But that's just a bit of an evidence of, you know, the mobility factor and sort of why we were so keen to see him on the likes of a Kaiser or a Zeri or something along those means, right? Because he had full HP, but just couldn't step up, had to, you know, endure Styx playing Happy Feet, dancing throughout his own jungle, and settling in for that 1-1 trade. Either way, though, it is going to be Iron with the Baron buff, looking to try and utilize it to their best case scenario. Still a couple of tier 2s to claim, both top and bot side, and that's exactly what both Doraemon and Jovi are now attending to.
Something really important to know right now is the fact that Jovi is in the top lane with no teleport, and if Direwolves do recognize this and see him split again, there's the Ash Arrow, there's the Flash Hawk, you know, there's the, you know, Glacier Prison coming out of Sejuani. If he is split off, they can play for that engage, and they can absolutely one-shot someone.
Let's see then what the game plan is still with 90 seconds left of this Baron buff. It's going to expire quite nicely with the overlap and then being able to reset, go back to base and shop up for yet again another Mountain Drake fight. But as it stands, that is 1 tower on the top side. That is 4 now overall. And would they dare just run it through the mid lane? I mean, right now, all the vision control belongs to them.
Yeah, and I think that this has been, you know, we haven't really seen a lot of Emphis recently, but, you know, he's quietly accrued himself an insane amount of damage. He has 4 items picked up, rapid fire complete, so now he has a lot of more access to dealing with the range advantage that the Ezreal has over him. Going to be able to do a lot more in these fights, and I think that as time goes on, we're going to see, you know, the Direwolves comp feel much more comfortable to play the, you know, the disadvantage that they have in the range department just through, you know, items like the Bloodthirster, like the, you know, the rapid fire cannon, when you can navigate some of the damage you have to absorb, some of the range you are lacking, and allow themselves to get into these fights and start dealing with these, you know, backline threats that Ion have.
It almost feels like it's a battle of which tank decides is the best situation in which they can go, right? You can chuck out the Glacial Prison, you can chuck out that of the Leona Solar Flare and just say, you know, it's non-committal, just from afar. Are you going to burn anything? Are you going to flash? Are you going to cleanse? What's going to happen? And if nothing goes about it, then we're comboing that with the Nautilus, then comboing that with the Vi, and really getting it done. You can see from that graphic just before that Katsuri is the most fed member in the game. A BF Sword and a Dream, full 6-item inventory, late game with potential for another Elder game.
Yeah, but I think a really important thing to note right now is he is Glass Cannon, right? And there is an insane amount of damage coming out of Ion, especially if something like the Equalize lands. But Timmy, it's your time to shine.
Blade goes in, yep, instantly flashed away from that one. Emphis was the focus, Jovi going golden yet again. Hex Flash the one, fall on down first of all. Coley with one target in mind, kill Katsuri, and then take down Emphis. And that's exactly what they're going to find. The bot lane of Direwolves is eviscerated. But Emphis, with all these items to his name, picks up the slack and is able to do enough damage to deter them from pressing anymore.
Look at that, Skimmy. Look how Hex Flash can, you know, just engage with pretty much no one near him because they have the, you know, the aerial assault, the predator missile, if you will say it, from the Equalizer that just comes out of nowhere. And Emphis walking into the enemy team here.
That's not where you want to be, Emphas. Unless I've spoken too soon. Maybe. Okay, well, that's just an auto attack caught in midair. And you're thinking the Rumble wins that 9 times out of 10. But no, Emphas, he is him. He's also at that 5.5 item point. And they are fighting tooth and nail to guarantee this Drake is theirs. And I don't know how Mayfan lived, quite honestly.
Does have the Warmog, so she's going to be able to sit this one back and then heal all the way back up. This is going to come down to a smite fight. Teleport is available for Jovi, so he's going to be able to impact this one again. But this dragon is going down very fast, and it's going to be a flip, Skimmy.
True Barrage goes out, tags up too. Hexflash still sprinting his legs back into the river. Same can be said then from Shinky. Which support gets here first? Both their ultimates, the Azure from base not to connect. The Dragon Soul being picked up here by Dying Wolves. They've got the Mountain Soul, but the 2-man knockup from the Vi is simply absurd right there. A shutdown fan from Jovi. It's not been his cleanest game, but he's absolutely fed. And they'll say, yeah, sure, we'll lose Doraemon. You can have your Drake, but you've only got 2 members to defend your base now.
They need to end the game here, Skimmy, because, you know, if they do not, this is going to be a very, very dire situation for them to deal with coming into these future team fights with the Mountain Soul being on the Direwolf side. But 5 members strong, all freshly off a base, minus sticks, against 2 members of Direwolves where Katsuri does not have the flash and no defensive items on himself. This should feel a very comfortable end for Ion right now.
Doraemon TPing then on the Void Grub, preserving this wave, getting the debuff on towards those towers. Everybody just jumping onto Katsuri. You can be so strong, but if you can't survive the initial engage, what does it matter? It's an ace of all aces. It's a game-winning play. And it's a series that starts at 37 minutes.
And that was a series, Skimmy. I think it was a really good look from both teams, even though Ion looked really shaky, especially Show. What a banger. What a banger, honestly. That was a great game.
Banger. Never disappointed by a Styx celebration, Cam, I'll tell you that much. And for Jovi, look, it was a new look. Came into his own as the game went longer and longer. Definitely some very shaky moments, some miscommunication, to, you know, put it bluntly. But overall, entertainment galore. Very different from their outlook when Direwolves took on the Ion side in week number 6. And let's see if this can go the distance, if we can break the curse of straight 2-0s. We'll find out right after this break.